What's up, baseball fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets and Rob. How is everybody doing? Before I get started doing my very best to predict the top 10 free agent targets, according to MLB.com, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button if you enjoy my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. All right, guys, so the top 10 free agents are listed from 1 to 10. It's not going to go in that order, but I'm going to do my very best to predict where each one of those players are going to be playing in 2024 and beyond. We're going to get started right now with Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray had an excellent season with the Minnesota Twins. He's probably not going to win the Cy Young, probably going to be the runner-up, but he had an outstanding season. But there's one thing about Sonny Gray, I think a lot of teams, specifically in big markets, are going to stay away from. Sonny Gray, we saw what a disaster he was with the Yankees. He didn't look like he can handle the media or the big market. I still think he's going to pick a team that is going to be far away from a big market. And the team that I think he's going to sign with is the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks had an outstanding season, shocked the world, shocked the MLB world, getting to the World Series, making that amazing run in the postseason. It never hurts to have more pitching, and I think Sonny Gray would be perfect in Arizona, away from the big market, goes to a really good team. He goes with Gallen and Foss as well in that rotation. We'll have one of the better rotations in the National League, if not in baseball. I think Sonny Gray is going to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Next up on the list is Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is a guy that doesn't have the stats that jump off the page during the regular season. But what he does have is really, really good postseason performances. He had one hiccup against the Diamondbacks this postseason, but for the majority of the 2 years that he pitched with the Phillies in the postseason, he was outstanding. And that's the type of guy, type of pitcher that a team wants. You want a guy that in the biggest moments shows up. Is not going to be the best pitcher on your team, most likely, in the regular season, but will definitely be a big part of your postseason run in your rotation when he pitches in the postseason. What team do I think he's going to go to? The Texas Rangers, the reigning World Series champions. Texas Rangers probably might lose a pitcher or two, not really knowing what their rotation is going to look at, if they can trust Max Scherzer. Who knows with Jacob deGrom? They got question marks in that rotation going into 2024. Why not get a guy that has postseason experience? And that is Aaron Nola. So Aaron Nola to the Texas Rangers. Next up is Blake Snell, who is probably going to win the NL Cy Young in 2023. He is a pitcher that every team would probably want. But there's two things that worry me with Blake Snell. Number one, doesn't go deep into games. Never goes deep into games. Mostly a 5-6 inning pitcher at most. He strikes out the world, which is great. The second thing is his injury history. He stayed healthy last year, which is probably going to win him the Cy Young, along with pitching great. But if you're only going to pitch 5 or 6 innings, I don't know how many teams are going to pay you the $200+ million he might be looking for, and some might say he's looking for Steven Strasburg type of money when he got it from the Nationals. That is going to be very interesting for a team that thinks that they can trust him injury-wise and going deep in games, because he probably can't go deep in games. And you're still going to need a pretty damn good bullpen to win those games that he pitched. So, Blake Snell, I think he's going to go to the Detroit Tigers. I think Detroit is looking for that pitcher with their young players coming up through the farm system. With the big signing of Javier Baez the year before, Blake Snell will be the ace of their staff. They're probably going to lose Eduardo Rodriguez. I don't think they're going to bring Rodriguez back, because I do think Rodriguez is going to stay, want to go to the East Coast. But a nice signing, an excellent signing for the Detroit Tigers would be Blake Snell going to the Detroit Tigers. Next up on the list is the aforementioned Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Rodriguez opted out of his contract with the Tigers. He was probably top 10, top 15 in baseball. He's extremely good. Lefty. A lot of teams can be interested. Not going to cost a ton. I don't think he's going to cost as much as Snell or Sonny Gray, and probably not even Aaron Nola. Rodriguez is a guy you could put him as a solid number 2, definitely a number 3 in your rotation. A lot of teams should be interested in him. I think the East Coast teams are going to be favored to land him, and a team that needs pitching, and you saw it in the postseason, is the Baltimore Orioles, and that's where I think Eduardo Rodriguez is going to go. If the Orioles make one big splash money-wise, which they rarely do, Eduardo Rodriguez is the guy to get. They were exposed in the playoffs because of the lack of pitching they had in that rotation, and it cost them very early on in the postseason, obviously. Watch for the Baltimore Orioles to sign Eduardo Rodriguez. Next up on the list is Jordan Montgomery, World Series champion Jordan Montgomery, formerly of the Texas Rangers. I think the Texas Rangers would try to get him back, but I don't think he is going back to the Texas Rangers. Jordan Montgomery, the postseason experience this year was outstanding. We know we can pitch in a big market. He pitched with the Yankees. And in the biggest moments in the postseason, there was nobody else other than Nathan Eovaldi that the Rangers wanted to go to in a big spot, and that is Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery could fit in a lot of teams, obviously, but a team that I think needs him more is the New York Mets, and that's where I think the New York Mets and Jordan Montgomery are going to come to terms on an agreement. I think Montgomery is perfect for the New York Mets. I think the Mets are probably going to go to that route when it comes to the overall pitching of the rotation. Going to be working heavy on the free agent market for pitching in their rotation. Jordan Montgomery to the Mets. Next up on the list is JD Martinez. Had an excellent year with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't think anybody expected him to ever put up those numbers again for any team. And coming into his 37-year-old season, how many teams are willing to put that guy in the middle of the lineup and trust him to stay healthy? He didn't even get to 130 games this year. I do think JD Martinez, could help teams, but teams that really, really need somebody in the middle of that order, I don't know how much they can trust him going forward. But a team that probably needs him and that might take that chance is the Seattle Mariners, and that's where I think JD Martinez is going to go in Seattle with the Mariners, probably on the one-year deal. I think it's going to help J-Rod and the rest of that offense going forward, and I think JD Martinez will probably want to stick on that West Coast. Next up on the list is Josh Hader. Josh Hader is a guy that is one of the best closers in baseball, best relievers in baseball. A lot of teams would probably love him who have a closer in the 8th inning. I don't think Josh Hader is an 8th inning guy. I think he needs that energy, all that nerves of the 9th inning. I don't think he's good in the 8th inning as a setup man, especially if a team has a closer. So I do think Josh Hader is going to go somewhere where he's going to get closer money and be the bona fide closer. And a team that needs that, and a team that almost made the playoffs this year, and that is the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs, I do think they might lose out on Bellinger, even though they're going to try hard to keep him. They need to fix that bullpen. Their rotation was pretty good. It kind of fell apart at the end of the year. But I do think if you got a guy that can be a shutdown closer in Josh Hader, the Cubs can win a lot more games. They're going to make noise this offseason in the trade market and free agent market. Josh Hader to the Cubs. Next up on the list is another guy who had a resurgent year after a couple of bad seasons, and that is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger is a guy that is probably looking between $170 and $200 million, and there's not a lot of teams that are going to do that and take that risk of Bellinger off of one season that he's had over the last 4 seasons in a contract year where he played really well. Don't get me wrong. But the former MVP, can he be trustworthy? Did he find something in his swing? Whatever coaches were in Chicago helped him out to figure out what was his problem. Did he figure it out? If he did figure it out, you're going to get a gem. No matter how much you give him in money and years, you're going to get a gem. There's a team out there that needs outfield help, is begging for outfield help, and they should have got it in the 2022 offseason. Did not. They struggled the entire season with that outfield, and that is the New York Yankees, and that's where I think Cody Bellinger is going to go where his father played with the New York Yankees. Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees. Yankees need that outfielder. Cody Bellinger makes so much sense with that right field porch lefty batter to play all outfield positions, in particular center and left, where they're going to need him to play. Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees. 2 more left on the list, and you probably know who they are. Next up is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto should be posted any day for MLB teams to sign him. There's a couple of teams, you heard a couple of teams on the West Coast, the Mariners, the Giants, the Rangers. Those teams are obviously going to go hard after him. You heard the Yankees are another team that Cashman really, really likes Yamamoto. But you heard recently, over the last day or two, that the Mets are all over Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And they should be, because they need an ace. Kodai Senga, as good as he was last year, I don't think he's an ace. I don't think he's ever going to get to that ace-like pitcher. I think he's a pretty damn good number 2. But Yamamoto is definitely an ace. And I think the New York Mets are going to do everything they can financially and are going to make the biggest offer to Yamamoto. And I think that's where he's going to go. Yamamoto wants a big market, but he also wants the most money. The New York Mets, with Steve Cohen's deep, deep pockets, are going to get Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Last but not least is the coveted free agent of all time, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani, we heard the rumors. Oh, it's the Dodgers. Oh, it's West Coast. Even though I do agree that the Dodgers are the favorites, and I do think he would prefer the West Coast, I think he's going to take a lot of interest in the East Coast, only because there's a couple of teams there that can give him the most money. The Red Sox, the Mets. You know, I don't think the Yankees are, but they're a team that also can cough up that money as well. We all know about the Dodgers. They didn't do a lot last offseason, in 2023 offseason, and basically saved all their money in their piggy bank to go after Ohtani in this offseason. As much as it pains me as a Mets fan, and I think the Mets are going to go hard after him and probably give an outstanding offer, I think the Dodgers are not going to be stopped here, and I think the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to land Ohtani, not because it is the West Coast, where I think the preference lies with Ohtani. I think the Dodgers are just going to keep on increasing the price until they land him. So I think the most money is going to be the Dodgers. And I know Met fans is not going to be happy about that. But guess what? Too bad. Los Angeles Dodgers are going to land Shohei. All right, baseball fans. So that is your top 10. And that's where I predict these top 10 players, top 10 free agents, are going to land in 2024. Let's go over it again. Ohtani to the Dodgers, Yamamoto to the Mets, Bellinger to the Yankees, Hader to the Cubs, Martinez to the Mariners, Montgomery to the Mets, Rodriguez to the Orioles, Snell to the Tigers, Nola to the Rangers, and Gray to the Diamondbacks. With that said, guys, let me know in the comments, guys, what you think these top 10 players are going to land. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, guys. Once again, guys, thank you for watching, and as